Ben with Mini Quad Club, also known as Mr. McCrasherson, and tonight I wanted to talk to you about a pretty cool piece of electronic equipment that plugs into your Dominators or any Fatshark headset that has a module bay. I don't know if the teleporters will work with this. I don't believe that the teleporters, at least the original ones, have a module bay. But what I'm talking about is the LaForge module. You can see right here, LaForge. And I had made a post a couple days ago about me getting this module, and it seemed to kind of take off. There was a lot of interest with it, and people were wanting to know a lot more about it, and where to get it, how to get it, and those types of things. So I figured what I would do is I would create a video, kind of cover some of the questions that were asked, and see if I can help you guys out. So what the LaForge module is, similar to a module that you would buy that's 5/8, and similar to a module maybe like Race Band, and you plug this into your Dominator headset and it replaces the receiver in your Fatsharks. The benefit and the nice thing about this is it gives you a visual confirmation of the channel that you're tuned into, but I think that the biggest benefit is this has an automatic scan of the whole entire 5/8 band to show you not only where you're at, but where your buddies are at, as well as possibly maybe some 5/8 wireless routers that are on, and maybe you're getting some multipathing or some interference, and you're like, hey, you know, how's come at this location I'm getting some interference? This module may be able to help you show the 5/8 band all the way from the lowest channel all the way to the highest channel in that 5/8 band. And I believe this is 40 channels on this receiver. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to plug it in, show you guys how to use it. It's got a little menu on it with a little scroll wheel here on the side. So I had a question about, well, how do you change, you know, the menu options? There's a little scroll wheel that scrolls up, it scrolls down, and then if you press in on it, it's kind of like a click or a selector. So let's go ahead and plug it in and take a look at it. So I have some Dominator V2s here, and if you take a look at it, I just opened up the bay there. It's got a little pin header on the side over here, right there. And there's pin headers on the LaForge module. So all we do is we plug it in like normal. Like normally with any other module, for these particular types of headsets here, you got it plugged in there. As you can kind of see there, now it's plugged in, and we'll hook up an antenna to it, and we'll power it up. You probably don't need to have an antenna plugged into it. Nothing's probably going to happen with it, but just in case, we'll go ahead and turn it on here and have an antenna on. So all we have to do is add some juice, and we'll see what this thing looks like here. Alright, we got it powered on. You can see the startup screen there, LaForge, and there we go, we got our first screen there. Let me take a look at this screen here and see where we're at here. So it says we're in manual mode right now. So we're in manual mode, and we're on band F, which I believe is the Fatshark band. So start off with 5740 at the channel 1 on band F. So what we can do, since we're in manual mode, is this little scroll wheel over here. We can scroll through the different channels manually. There we go. So channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you're in manual mode and you power up your quad and you know what channel you're on, you could just manually tune to it, and it would come up in your goggles. I think the biggest benefit to this is if we go to the menu, let me turn on here, there's the menu here, so we'll scroll here a little bit. You can see where we're at here. The first thing is it can automatically search, so we'll go to automatic, press in on the button, and now look, it scanned the whole entire 5/8 band and is looking for the strongest signal to try to tune into. Since I don't have a quad plugged in right now, that's not necessarily very beneficial. I'm not out of the field. But what is beneficial is if you go back to menu, so you press in on the button and you go to band scanner. So we go to band scanner. We press in, and what it is going to do is it's going to, from the lowest channel in 5/8 all the way to the highest, 40 channels. It's going to scan all on this one page and show you if there's anything, not even just a quad, if there's maybe a wireless router or any sort of interference or anything using a specific channel in the 5/8 band, it'll show you on this one screen. So, for example, you're at a new location and you're trying to fly and you're getting a lot of multipathing or a lot of interference, you could possibly use this type of screen here and this type of technology to scan the whole entire 5/8 band and actually see if the channel that you're on is actually inside the range of some sort of interference. I think that that's pretty beneficial. So I could quickly change the dip switches on my VTX and get away from that, get some separation from that noise or from that interference. The other thing you can do is let's say you got 15, 20 racers that day, and everybody believes that they're on the right channel, and they're having some interference or some crosstalk or whatever it may be. You could fire up this module and basically see where the problem is at. Maybe there's a bunch of people stacked in a certain area, and maybe we need to get some more separation. So I think this module's gonna be a hit. I'm one of the lucky ones. I just so happened to be at the right place at the right time. I was looking at a Mini Quad Club Facebook post. Someone posted a 15-second video of this particular module and was like, isn't this neat? And I was like, yeah, it's really neat. And I went to the website laforge.com and they had some available. I didn't at the time know how many that they had available, but I was quick on the mouse click and I purchased one. I think they're about $100, and I got one. Come to find out, I believe I'm only one of 3 to be able to have these right now. So I feel pretty lucky and pretty fortunate to be able to kind of test it out and see, what it's all about. I did use it at the field yesterday. I left it powered up all day. One of the questions is how was the battery life? Does it drain the battery more? It does drain the battery a little bit more, but nothing significant. I mean, I was able to get on the standard Fatshark batteries a couple hours. So maybe, if I got, 2.5 to 3 hours on a regular battery, maybe, I would, maybe get, 1.5 to 2 hours with this module plugged in, because it is pulling some more power with the OLED screen. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and power up a quad and show you that, there's going to be something happening on the screen. It's going to show us inside of the whole entire 5/8 band. It's going to be able to recognize something. So let me go ahead and plug in a quad here. Let's see here. Now the screen looks a little bit different. Now we can see that we got some action going on over here, right over there, right? And I know that I'm on, I believe 5740. Let's go ahead and go to auto select and see where we can find here. So it actually, and this is actually interesting. It tells me that I'm on 5745. Here, let's go back here one. So sometimes, and this has been kind of a question that I've had, is just because my dip switches are set for 5740, maybe it's transmitting on a different frequency, because maybe some of the actual channels aren't as strong as others. And that's something that I'm going to do, is I'm going to go through a video transmitter, and I'm going to set the dip switches for channel 1, then I'm going to check the RSSI signal, then go to channel 2, and 3, 4, so on and so forth, and get all of the RSSI signals for each of the channels to see how strong that they are. And I'll document them. Maybe I'll share that information to the community. So the other thing that we can do is we can go back down here to manual select. Let me go back here to manual select. Okay, go back to, I gotta kind of scroll through. There's 40 channels, so you gotta kind of manually scroll through here. You can see it kind of scrolling there. So let me get it over to the band F. We're on band E. And I just noticed that you can actually hold the scroll wheel up or down and it will automatically keep on skipping. So that's kind of a nice feature. Alright, so now we're on 5740. There you go, 5740. That's what I was using yesterday. So that's band F, channel 1, so it's F1. And it shows you 5740. And then it also has a little bit of you can customize, some text up there. And I've got Well, I got McCrasherson, Mr. Crash actually. So that's the module. Some of the questions that I got was, you know, is there a cover for it? Will the existing cover fit over top of this? The answer is no. I thought that it would, but it will not. So I plan on 3D printing and designing a cover for it, taking into consideration so that you could have the cover but still see the OLED screen and still have your SMA connector, you know, popping out. Let me go ahead and plug my quad here is beeping. When you get this unit brand new out of the box, you have to calibrate the RSSI. It's very simple. Power on a quad, go to the menu option, say calibrate RSSI, and you're done. This will actually, on the graph, it's actually showing you the RSSI signal strength of each channel. So that's kind of how that works. Had another question, which was, do you need a compatible video transmitter for this to actually work? The answer is no. This is basically only receiving anything in 5/8, so you don't need a fancy or a special video transmitter for this to actually work. The other thing I wanted to mention is this technology is all open source. The developer of it made it open source, so you can source your own board, you can source your own OLED screen, you can source all of the electronics that you want, and then the software that runs on it runs on an Arduino, which is on the board, and you could basically build one of these yourself if you were so inclined. I was just so, fortunate to be able to get one and purchase it, so I didn't have to build it myself. So another question that I had was, will this module work on other goggles? Now, these goggles are Fatshark Dominator V2s. I'm not exactly sure if it will work for other goggles. It should, but I'm not 100% sure. But if you have goggles that have a module bay that needs a receiver, not something that's built in, but a receiver you need to plug in, I would assume that it would work. But I think I need to get some clarification from LaForge on what exact goggles that this will work on to help the community out in knowing if their goggles are supported. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the build quality of this particular module that you plug in. It looks just like something you would get from the factory. It looks great. It looks factory quality. It doesn't look like it's beta. I was really happy with it. I was really impressed with it. There wasn't any wires hanging off anywhere. It looked professional. So I was really happy with that. The other thing is that when I open the box, you don't see this very often, but there's the LaForge again. It's made in the USA. So while this particular unit is $100, I was more than happy to support those that are trying to innovate, and went ahead and clicked on the buy button, and I was happy that I did. And the other thing that someone asked me was, well, what about diversity? That's a good question. If you go to LaForge.com, they're working on a new module, so you'll have a module over here like you have right now, and you'll have another module on this other side, and on the other side of some of the Fatshark goggles, there's head tracking, and I don't use head tracking, so this bay doesn't really do me much good. But what they're planning on doing is having another one of these LaForge modules plugged in on the head tracking side, and that will kind of upgrade these goggles to diversity, so we won't have to necessarily run a ground station per se. We'll be able to have diversity on these particular goggles. And I know that they're also working on a video transmitter that will pair easier, or I'm not exactly sure of all the capabilities of their video transmitter. I don't know if it's using infrared. I know I've seen some infrared technology on this board from the schematics, but it looks like there's a lot of cool things coming from LaForge. If there's any more questions, feel free to hit me up on Facebook or hit me up on the YouTube, and we'll get your questions answered. I'm really liking this. I got to play with it just for one day. It worked flawless. I'm really happy with it. Only downside is the cover. I'm working on a new design for the cover. We'll get it all fixed up, and it'll be looking good. So, any more questions? I'm easy to find.